WWE are far apart on negotiations with this popular superstar. But first, Bray Wyatt's sister has thanked a WWE legend for their recent kindness. We're now nearly 3 weeks removed from the news that WWE superstar Bray Wyatt had shockingly passed away at the age of 36, news that led to tributes online from wrestlers and fans alike. One of the many stars that would send their love to the Rotunda family was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who would take to the X social media platform to speak of his love for the former WWE champion. Well, it seems that the Great One has since gone the extra mile to support Bray's family, as his sister Mika Rotunda would take to social media on Sunday night to thank Rocky for his kindness and keeping her family's fridges and homes full over the past couple of weeks, and she would write, "Publicly, my family would like to thank The Rock for his kindness, condolences, and love for the past 2 weeks. As he did all people, Wyndham had a positive impact on him too. And DJ has kept our fridges and homes, yes plural, filled with meals and groceries. Love you, Ohana." You often hear stories of The Rock being a good person in real life, and his latest gesture that wasn't made public by himself shows that he's willing to care for those in need without the public adulation. And next, talks were held over a feud between the Fiend and the Demon. Speaking of Bray Wyatt, during his career, one of the many dream matches fantasy booked by fans online was the idea of a rivalry that would see the Fiend battle the Demon Finn Balor, two of WWE's most fearsome personas. Whilst we know that the match can no longer happen, Finn would speak with Peter Rosenberg on the Cheap Heat podcast this week to reveal that this was something he and Wyatt discussed in depth, although it was of course never to be, and he would say, "Obviously, I'd had the opportunity to work with him a lot as Finn versus Bray, as the Demon versus Bray, as Finn versus the Fiend. The one thing that I'm sad we didn't get to was this Fiend versus Demon match, and that was something that we talked about at length. We were kind of hoping that was going to happen eventually, but it's not to be. Going back to the show must go on, if something was to happen to me, I want you guys to know that I want the show to go on, and I'm sure knowing Bray as well as I do, he definitely wanted the show to go on, and then that's what we've done for him." Next up, we have the latest on the possible retirement of a top AEW star. This past Saturday night on AEW Collision, Bryan Danielson would tease that he's edging closer to hanging up his boots, noting that he promised his now 6-year-old daughter that he would spend more time at home when she turns 7. He would then promise to give his all over the course of the next year, with him unsure what the future holds. Well, we now have a backstage update on the situation via Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso, who would take to Fan Nation to reveal what he knows about Bryan's future in the squared circle, with the American Dragon expected to retire from full-time action, transitioning into a part-time special attraction. And the report notes, multiple people close to the situation confirmed with Sports Illustrated that Danielson will be stepping away from wrestling full-time in the next year, yet may remain a special attraction for AEW. For now, Danielson has NJPW World TV Champion Zack Sabre Jr. in his sights. Pay-per-view on October 1st in Dragon's home state of Washington, in what has been a long-awaited rematch for many internet wrestling fans between two of the best technical wrestlers in history. And next, an upcoming WWE return is imminent. The former Kairi Sane would leave WWE in December 2021 when her contract came to an end, this after spending over 4 years in the company. She would later return to her home promotion of Stardom, whilst also appearing on shows for New Japan Pro-Wrestling under the Bushiroad banner, where she went on to become the first ever IWGP Women's Champion. Speaking at today's Stardom Dream Tag Festival event, Kairi would announce that on October 9, she would team with Nanae Takahashi and reigning IWGP Women's Champion Mayu Iwatani to take on the FWC, Hazuki and Kaguma, as well as Saya Aida, adding that this will be her final match in Stardom. The news comes after recent reports that the former NXT Women's Champion is set to return to WWE in the weeks ahead, with Dave Meltzer recently taking to the Wrestling Observer newsletter to describe the move as imminent. Kairi now has 2 more Japanese dates left to finish up, with her also set to wrestle for GLEAT on September 20 in Tokyo, Japan, with her then going on to compete in the Stardom event 3 weeks later, which will then seemingly lead to her being able to return to WWE. And next, a current WWE superstar has responded to a possible CM Punk return. On September 2nd, All Elite Wrestling and AEW president Tony Khan would confirm that the contract of CM Punk had been terminated, this following the backstage events of AEW All in London at Wembley Stadium. The departure would lead to speculation on if the Second City Saint would make the jump back to WWE, with several reports suggesting that there could be mutual interest in such a move. Speaking with Sportskeeda this week, former WWE champion Drew McIntyre would be asked about being given the chance to kick the head of the straight-edge superstar, with him responding with a very careful reply, and he would say, "I don't make those decisions, I watch what I say in interviews. He's certainly controversial and he gets people talking, I'll leave it at that." Whilst Punk is a controversial figure in the business, there's no question on his ability to draw eyeballs and create headlines, with as little as a sneeze from Punk becoming breaking news on every wrestling news site. Next up, an investigation has been launched following shocking claims from a WWE star. On Sunday, WWE superstar Matt Riddle would take to social media to post about a recent experience at the JFK airport in New York, with him noting that he was inappropriately touched by a police officer when returning from WWE's recent Superstar Spectacle show in India. Before we get into the latest on the story, let's first take a look at exactly what Riddle claimed in a now deleted Instagram post, and he would write, "Nothing like being actually assaulted by an officer and harassed at the JFK airport. No means no, and just because I'm nice doesn't mean yes. A-hole, don't know their Twitter or Instagram handles, but I took pictures. Normally I'm like whatever, but today was really weird and uncomfortable, and they made a point to make me feel small and useless. Definitely one of the most uncomfortable travel days I've ever had. Thanks NYC, you're so progressive and accepting." According to a fresh report from TMZ, the story would shock people within the Port Authority, although an investigation has been launched into exactly what went down, and they would write, "Law enforcement sources tell us Port Authority officers got a call from a disorderly person who was deplaning, and they met him in the terminal. As it turns out, that was Riddle. We're told the cops talked to MR as well as other witnesses, and he seemed apologetic in the moment. No police report was filed, and everyone was free to go without incident. It's because of this that our sources say the Port Authority was shocked by Riddle's claim, as, from their view, nothing went down to warrant such an accusation. Still, we're told the department is taking his claim seriously, and an internal probe has been launched." On top of this, WWE has reportedly also launched their own investigation into the incident. We now wait to find out how the story plays out going forward, with there being two contrasting accounts of the incident in question. And next, a recent AEW release has broken their silence. Following his involvement in the now infamous brawl between CM Punk and the Elite at AEW All Out 2022, Ace Steel would be fired and eventually rehired by All Elite Wrestling, with him taking on the role of a producer, albeit a role he fulfilled remotely. It has since been revealed that talks had been held for Ace to lead an AEW training facility in Florida, plans that eventually fell through after the firing of CM Punk before Steel was later released. Taking to his Instagram this weekend, Ace would seemingly react to the situation that led to the dismissal of his friend Punk, who had been kept on an island away from certain individuals in the company, with a lack of communication and resolution between the Elite camp and the CM Punk camp, leading to an eventual blow-up of the situation. Steel would post a quote that reads, "Mishandling people, then avoiding communication is not protecting your peace, it's avoiding accountability," with him adding a caption from himself that states, "Ain't that the effing truth." The post would be added to the collision highlights section of his story, a clear sign that the remarks are in reference to the AEW backstage situation. And next up, WWE are far apart on contract negotiations with this popular superstar. Last week, PW Insider would release a report that revealed LA Knight was close to signing a brand new contract with WWE, with the rising star set to sign a long-term deal that would keep him with the company for another 5 years. However, we have an update from Fightful Select that has cast some doubt as to if this is the case or not, with them hearing another side of the story. According to today's Fightful Select Select reports, it is true that talks have been held over a new 5-year contract between the two parties. However, they're not as close to agreeing terms as first reported. Fightful claim that a 5-year deal has been offered tonight. However, the two sides are still far apart on the money side of the deal, with negotiations set to continue. It was also added that an agreement doesn't appear to be imminent. One WWE higher-up would tell Fightful that despite recent suggestions that any subsequent push would be tied to a new deal, there is no truth to the rumor, before citing that a significant number of wrestlers on the roster have deals coming up next year and are still getting pushed. Whilst it's unclear if and when new terms will be completed between Knight and WWE, we do know that the megastar has 1.5 years left on his deal, with it expiring in 2025, meaning there appears to be no imminent rush to tie him down beyond that. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 facts that MJF doesn't want you to know.